Broadcasting across California, you're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. Look who is here with us. One of the most recognizable, best-liked, best-known journalists in the history of TV. Katie Couric is here. The former, of course, Today Show host, CBS Evening News anchor, is the executive producer of a new documentary we want everybody to watch. Let's show you right there. It's called For Love and Life, No Ordinary Campaign, which debuts on Amazon Prime on May 28th. We'll talk to the stars of the film in our next segment here on The Issue Is. But Katie, so good to have you with us. Welcome back to The Issue Is.
So nice to be here. Thank you very much. And you're right. I think we've done this remotely, but never face-to-face.
Yes. You look great in person.
Well, so do you.
Okay. So we'll talk about the documentary in a little bit, but let's start with the news of the week. And since we talk politics here so much,
right.
Who's winning the presidential race right now? Is it Trump? Is it Biden? How do you see the state of the race?
Gosh, I'm more interested in how you see the state of the race, but from where I sit, it seems that Donald Trump has the edge right now, despite all of his legal woes and the fact that, you know, he's on trial and Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. He seems to be surprisingly gaining momentum, not losing it. What is your view?
Well, I think that the debates coming in June is an acknowledgement that Joe Biden and his campaign know that they're losing.
Right.
That there's this feeling that they need to shake up the race and they need to do it now. And that they're aware that this narrative exists, that Joe Biden is old and weak and out of control. And if you put him on a stage next to Trump, he has the opportunity to disprove that. But that's also a risk because he has the opportunity to prove that, too.
Right. The stakes are high. Yeah. He hasn't done many interviews. They've been very selective, doing things like Conan O'Brien or
Howard Stern.
Or Smartless, right? And things like that I think aren't necessarily a forum for really challenging questions about policy and his vision for the future. And I think it would behoove him to get out there more, to talk more, because I think the less you talk, the higher the stakes are when you do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've been trying to get an interview with him. So selfishly, I'd like him to be...
He needs more interviews.
No, he does, though. He does, I really think so, because I think it only reinforces this notion that he is not up to the job.
So the debates right now were announced. CNN is supposed to be moderated by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash.
Right.
The ABC debate expected to be moderated by David Muir and by Lindsay Davis.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's not going to be an Issue Is debate moderated by Alex Michelson and Katie Couric, but if they want to do one,
hope springs eternal.
We're here, right?
You know?
There's still time.
I think it's really interesting that they leapfrogged over the Presidential Commission on Debates, right?
Which is this commission which was established in the late 80s,
right,
and has run every debate since in a sort of nonpartisan way, bringing all the networks together, putting rules in place, having both the campaigns negotiate something out, and they're saying this isn't working.
Right. I think it's, you know, I think particularly with unpredictable candidates, I think it is a real indictment on the debates that have been held in recent years. I don't know about you, but I have felt increasingly frustrated with the format, with the fact that it's all about, you know, interrupting another candidate. It's all about a zinger or a zippy one-liner that will be used on newscasts following the debate or go viral on social media. And it's really become a circus, which I think serves no one.
Yeah.
I don't think you get a good idea of where people stand on policy, what differentiates the candidates. So I think basically the campaign said, you're not handling this well, Commission on Presidential Debates. We're going to go straight to the networks, and we're going to actually install our own rules. I do think the microphone should be turned off. I think that it should not be allowed to have candidates interrupt each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work and if it's going to work, but it will be fascinating to see.
Of course, the content that does the best in social media is oftentimes not the nuanced political examination, it's the personal stuff. And to that point, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You just became a grandma for the first time 8 weeks ago, right?
Yes,
this is,
I have a little grandson.
John, right?
Yes, his name is John Albert. He was named after my late husband and Ellie's dad, Jay Monahan. And yes, it's a thrill. That was a picture of Ellie and her husband, Mark, who met in college. And that's Carrie, my other daughter, holding baby Jay, and my husband, John, passing out the cigars, of course. It's just a marvel to see your child become a parent. And I'm really looking forward to showing little Jay around Central Park and, you know, taking him to museums and doing all the things that, you know, that it's really seeing the world through the eyes of a child. It's wonderful.
Yeah, my family just went through this as well.
I know,
we have baby
congratulations.
G, not baby J. Gabriel, that's Gabriel right after he was born, my sister's baby, and my parents just became grandparents for the first time.
Are they thrilled?
We are thrilled and
well, maybe they can be. Maybe they can have a play date.
Yeah, they live not
Gabe
too far
and
away
Jay,
from each other.
right?
All right, real quickly, we have fun on this show with a game called Personal Issues, which you've played before. This is 30 seconds to get to know your cultural favorites, what you're into right now, which you often talk about on Katie Couric Media. So we're going to put time up on the clock, and here we go. What is your favorite TV show you're watching right now?
I just finished Baby Reindeer, which I loved. Very controversial.
Best book you've read recently?
The Age of Grievance by Frank Bruni.
Favorite concert you've been to recently?
Oh gosh, I haven't been to a. Oh, Taylor Swift a year ago with my daughters. Yeah.
What is your favorite podcast other than your own?
I do like The Daily from the New York Times.
And who is the best interview to listen to other than you?
Oh, the best, Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway.
Very nice.
And Alex.
Okay, there you go.
Do you have a podcast?
The Issue Is put out as a podcast.
Oh,
People
there you
should
go.
search for
Yes,
that.
Alex
Search for The Issue
Michelson.
Is. There we go. And the real reason you're here, though, is this incredible documentary for Love and Life, No Ordinary campaign. We're about to meet the stars of it in just a moment and talk to you more about it later on. But just real quickly, why should everybody pay attention to this?
Oh gosh, you know, it is such an uplifting, empowering, inspiring story of people who faced unsurmountable odds and somehow found the strength and courage to do something, not just for themselves, but for their entire community. These two people will make you ask yourself, what can I do? How can I make the world a better place? Because these two people have under very, very difficult circumstances. So I just hope everyone watches their story because it's truly a beautiful one.
And we just talked so much about what doesn't work. These are an example of what does work and represent the best of humanity. So we're really excited for everybody to meet them. They will be with us when we come back. And Katie will join us as well. Oh my God, my dream is finally happening. You want to throw it a break then, Katie?
Yes.
We'll be right back. First, you're watching Today on NBC. I don't know. What are we doing?
We'll be right back.
I remember someone told me, you have to meet this guy. He's going to change the world. And he did.
Yes, he did. Brian Wallach and his wife, Sandra Abrevaya, are the subjects of the new Amazon Prime film for Love and Life, No Ordinary campaign, streaming on Amazon Prime on May 28th. Brian and Sandra, welcome to The Issue Is, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much for having us.
For people that are just hearing your story for the first time, Sandra, can you tell us a little bit about how you got to this place?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian and I, we met in 2008. We met in politics, working in government. We ended up getting married, starting our family. And we lived in Chicago, a normal couple in their late 30s. And then one day, actually the day we came home from the hospital with our second daughter, Brian came from what we thought was a routine checkup. And he was told that he likely had ALS and that he likely had 6 months to live. And that was
7 years ago.
7 years ago. And here we are. Brian is still fighting every day for himself and for so many others.
And you all had a life in politics. You met working on the Obama campaign.
We did.
I know we've got a photo of Barack Obama with you, who is a part of this documentary as well, talking about how much you've inspired him. And you decided to use your political connections for good and started a nonprofit called I Am ALS.
Yes, we absolutely did. And we knew that we could make a big difference. In the lives of people living with ALS. And also. And also in the lives of people living with other neurodegenerative diseases. And so we started IMALS about a year after we were diagnosed.
And you went to Washington, which we know on almost everything doesn't work. It moves very slowly, and there's almost no bipartisan agreement. And you kept pushing through roadblock after roadblock to the point where you got nearly unanimous agreement on $1 billion in funding to help beat this. What is the secret sauce for actually getting something done in Washington?
Well, it's amazing what a beautiful bipartisan coalition does in fact exist to support families living with ALS. I will say, in addition to some of the earliest supporters being, for example, Senator Durbin, as a Democrat, Senator Murkowski as a Republican, they came together and they really, in the Senate, led the charge to drive forward increased federal funding from the very get-go. And Brian and I have continued to work with members across the aisle who are hearing from families in their own district, because everybody is affected by this disease in one way or another, or these other neurodegenerative diseases. And so the most powerful key to driving forward that change are families speaking with members of Congress and the Senate and telling them their story.
And telling them that I am ALS, which is why you gave that incredible name to this as well. And part of the challenge for folks with ALS is there is no cure. So it right now is 100% fatal. And there are experimental drugs that the FDA has said you're not allowed to take. And a lot of folks say, I'm 100% fatal anyways. What's the difference? Let me try. I want to be a part of this. And you all have been really instrumental in changing the paradigm on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if the drug is safe and it might be effective, what is this pathway to changing the paradigm, as you said, and allowing patients to get access?
And has Brian gotten access to any of those because of that?
Yes, he has. Yeah, absolutely. And we've been able to provide access to more than 5 of these new therapies. And if you think about that, there's only 2 FDA-approved drugs. So you're more than doubling what the options are for patients living with these diseases.
You know, this documentary is more than just about ALS. It's really about a fight much bigger, and it's also really a love story. And checking out your social media, Brian, I was so blown away by you post every Friday. It's Friday, I'm in love. There's all these different pictures. We're showing some of them now of you guys in love in different aspects of your relationship. Brian, what is it about Sandra that you love so much?
Oh, man! Let's hear it. I love that you have stood by me. Who has gotten stuff done? Okay, And I also love how you are an amazing mom to our 2 girls.
And what is it that you love about Brian?
I fell in love with Brian on the OA campaign, one, because he was and is smart as all heck, and he is so positive, and just whenever there are problems ahead of him, he sees opportunity, and man, has that come to bear in this incredible challenge that we've had. But it was a magnetic force from the moment I met Brian. It has always drawn so many people to him.
And another thing, you know, it's extraordinary to think that the diagnosis came right when you're taking your baby back home. You have 2 young daughters that have been a part of this, that have watched all of this unfold. What lesson do you want them to learn from your fight?
I think they see it every day in Brian. They see this incredible resilience. Our 6-year-old is our younger of our 2 daughters, and her birthday now coincides with Brian's diagnosis anniversary. And she says to him, after she blows out the candle, she says, "Dad, you did it. You made it another year. The prognosis is 2 to 5 years, and you just made it 6 years. Keep going. I believe in you. I mean, a 6-year-old should never have to say those words, and at the same time, how beautiful, and, you know, it's the essence of the human spirit, right?
It is. And coming up next, we're going to bring Katie Couric back into the conversation, and you'll get an opportunity to interact with her. More with them when The Issue Is comes right back.
I'm in awe of Brian Wallach. He wants to give back and take care of the next person that gets diagnosed.
Priscilla Chan and her husband, Mark Zuckerberg, may have heard of him, helping to present the documentary For Love and Life No Ordinary campaign on Amazon Prime on May 28th. It's about Brian and Sandra, and executive produced by Katie Couric. And Brian, Sandra, and Katie all now back with us. Katie, what was it about them? Because you can use, at this point in your career, basically your platform to highlight anything. And you chose this story. Why them?
Well, I read an article in Politico, and I was mesmerized by the story, probably because it had a photograph of Brian looking super hot. And so I started reading this article, and honestly, I was on my phone. I remember I was lying in bed. I could not put the article down. And I saw in the body of the piece that they were working on a documentary. Basically, we made arrangements to get on a Zoom. They had me at, can you hear me? And basically, and I thought, I fell in love with them instantly. They're the most amazing couple. And as somebody who's also been an advocate for colon cancer and other cancers, I understood what desperation and love and just, you know, wanting to do something when you see someone you love be sick.
Right.
And I said, please, can I help? And I'll do anything. I will try to, you know, help raise money, get attention. I'll donate my own money to help you all finish this film. And I don't know, we just hit it off instantly. We joke that we're a throuple now, which is probably getting a little old for Sandra. But anyway.
Brian.
Excited for Brian. He's a big winner of all this.
But we just had this incredible connection. And I think our friendship has only grown. And I just love them and care about them so much.
And what does it mean for you to have Katie behind you?
I mean, first of all, the way in which Katie offered to support, just as she said, she literally said, anything you need. What do you need? I mean, how often does that happen when someone doesn't suggest what you need, but asks you what you need and says that they are there for it, no matter what it is? It was beautiful. She's, really the role model for how to do patient advocacy in the midst of struggling within your own family with a disease, which is a really hard place to be. Yeah. It's very difficult to do that work when you're both personally affected.
When something like this hits so close to home, you have to do something. And it does give you a sense of purpose and a direction to use your platform, use your power, use your political acumen, as these two have done, to change the face of a disease. And their relentless advocacy has yielded such incredible results, as you heard.
Right, and it's inspired me as well. And so when we come back, a personal note from me about why this is so meaningful for me on so many different levels. We end this week with a personal note about the many reasons that this particular episode is so important to me. I've said this before, but a key reason that I entered TV news in the first place was because of Katie Couric. As a kid, I distinctly remember the moment sitting and watching TV and thinking, I want to do that with my life. And seeing you here on our set for the first time is surreal. And one of the things that I most loved about watching you and wanted to emulate was the way that you have used your sizable platform for good to put the spotlight on people that really need it and have lifted up so many unsung heroes in the process.
Oh my gosh, Alex.
And so in that spirit, I've been honored to host LA's walk and roll to cure ALS for over a decade now for the ALS Network, which is formerly the ALS Association Golden West chapter, who I know you have partnered with. I've met so many incredible people, but I want to highlight a few that will always stick with me. Nancy Ryder was one of the top publicists in Hollywood. Among her clients, Renee Zellweger, Courtney Cox, and Reese Witherspoon. She was fiercely loyal, funny, and full of spunk. And then ALS robbed this spokesperson of her ability to speak. Mari Windsor helped bring Pilates to America. She literally taught the country to move. Among her students, Miley Cyrus and Elizabeth Berkley. But then this cruel disease took away her ability to walk. And then there's Adi Barkan, a political activist who brought some of the country's top politicians to tears with his passion and perseverance to make our country healthier. Unfortunately, all of them physically died, and I dedicate this episode to their memory. But their fighting spirit lives on in Brian and Sandra. You both make them and everyone in this fight so proud by using your platform to move this fight forward with tangible results like we have never seen before. The funding that you have ensured is so crucial, but even more important is the sense of hope that you have created in everybody in a space that has so often felt hopeless. So we wrap things up as we always do on this show with music. This song is from my all-time favorite artist, Bruce Springsteen. Here is The Rising, which is about rising up to new heights after what once felt like a knockout blow. Thank you all for watching The Issue Is. Thank you all for what you do. Thanks for the inspiration. We'll see you all next week.